Right, it's a lot about dialogue now, and that's also one of the reasons why we are doing this research, because also outside this Zoom room, it's talked and done a lot around dialogue with hopefulness and ambiguous ideas about what dialogue is. And in this project, this sub-project, we try to look at the practice of dialogue, how dialogue become, not so much what is the ideal or how should it be done, but rather how does it become when it becomes. And so I've called this talk Frontstage and Backstage, Processes in Collaboration and Dialogue in Swedish Natural Resource Management. Together with me is Hanna Berg, Lotta Westberg, Emily Montgomery. And we are in the middle, you should know that, we are in the middle of data collection right now. So this is very tentative ideas that we have seen. So the last observation was done yesterday or maybe this morning, I think, and it should be represented in what I'm talking about. So in previous research, we have seen that there are hopes and ambitions that dialogue processes should be the result, the knowledge, values, ideologies that are developed in dialogue processes should be transmitted to other arenas, decision-making arenas, make an impact in those groups that are represented in the dialogue, those what we then call backstage group that are represented. And that is an idea often in design of dialogues that this should be done through passive transmission with reports, documents, policies, but it's rarely done in that way, because basically theoretically, because knowledge is situated in the social practice where it's developed. That's at least our explanation. So it results, those ways of designing dialogue then result sometimes in disappointment and surprise that, well, but we have talked about this already, then this body make this decision. So that made us interested in and thinking that it's not enough to look how dialogue is done in the interorganizational arenas, but we need to look at those rooms where the backstage work is done as well. So we identify this difference between front stage, which is the dialogue room where actions is done to maintain the dialogue ideal, and the backstage, where actors are dealing with what's not supposed to be in the dialogue. But then when I was preparing this talk, I came to the conclusion that also backstage work is done also in the dialogue room. It's just that it's done in a less explicit and less clear way. So front stage work would be maintaining dialogue ideal when following the norms, the ideas about what dialogue is supposed to be. And its dialogue is in those situations often dealt with and seen as an unproblematic, ordered problem-solving process. So in the front stage arena, the participants in dialogue are doing this unproblematic or maintaining the idea of an unproblematic, ordered problem-solving process. So they produce text, and we have seen in other studies, and also we continue confirming that result, that they avoid formulating disagreement. They try to formulate disagreement, but they tend to fail because the communicative tools for doing it is not really available. And they ask for something to assess. Participants in these dialogues ask for a document that they can assess and make comments on. And they avoid questioning the procedure. Also, when the tasks that they are given in the dialogue are confusing for them, they tend to find ways of making those, although they make indicators of confusion, they also solve the task one way or another, redefine the task without much of explicit meta communication. So they are not showing that the task is confusing to them. While in the backstage work, we should recognize then, as I said before, that backstage work is done both in the dialogue, meetings and in backstage meetings. And when in those arenas, we can see that they express, and that's become apparent when we are asking for access to these meetings, that they express that there's a need for keeping their secrets. It's harder. We try to get access to those meetings that take place behind the scenes, but it's harder for us to get access to them. And this is where they talk about other actors. This is where they express disagreement. This is also where they talk about the need for bypass the environmental goal, as in one of our cases, when actors disagree with a goal that motivate the dialogue, but still cannot afford to not participate in the process, although they think that the mandate is too limited. And this is also where they're dealing with the abstract task through doing storytelling. Finished.